You know, there's serious drama happening in Abuja right now, and it's not movie drama. This one involves politics, international attention, and one man whose name continues to make headlines every time the court sits, Nnamdi Kanu. Now, this whole gist has been shaking both Nigeria and even reaching the United States. Some American lawmakers have recently sent strong words to President Tinubu, urging him to pay attention to Kanu's case and how it's being handled. People are now asking, is Nnamdi Kanu's freedom finally close? Or is this just another long round of politics and power play? Before we get deep into it, please like this video right now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell and the chin, because this story is developing fast and you don't want to miss the next update. So let's break it down clearly. Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra. His movement started as a call for fairness and self-determination in the southeast, but along the line it became controversial. Some people see him as a freedom fighter, while others say his actions have encouraged unrest and insecurity in that region. He was first arrested years ago, granted bail, and later left the country. Then in 2021, he was brought back to Nigeria under circumstances that still remain controversial. Since then, he has been facing charges related to terrorism and incitement. Recently, he made headlines again because of his refusal to defend himself in court, saying the trial has no legal foundation. The court session was tense, and since then, the conversation about his future has grown louder, not just in Nigeria, but abroad too. Now, here's where things got even hotter. Some lawmakers in the United States made statements warning the Nigerian government about how it's handling this issue. They said Nigeria must respect human rights and due process. Some even called for his release or for a fair resolution that wouldn't worsen regional tensions. Those statements came not long after reports of new protests in the southeast and even some small demonstrations around Abuja. So the timing of the US lawmakers' comments made everything look like a coordinated pressure, both local and international. Please, if you're still watching, hit the like button right now because this story is far from over. Now, let's be real. When US lawmakers speak, it doesn't automatically mean the US government will act, but it sends a strong diplomatic signal. It shows that Washington is watching closely, and when big partners like the US start talking, it can affect Nigeria's image internationally. It can even affect investments, partnerships, and how other countries perceive our rule of law. President Tinubu's administration has not kept quiet either. Government officials have said Nigeria will not be bullied or pressured by foreign politicians. They insist the matter is a purely internal one and that the courts must finish their job. But at the same time, there are talks behind the scenes about the possible political and diplomatic implications of this case. What makes this whole thing more interesting is that Nnamdi Kanu himself recently wrote a letter to Donald Trump, raising fresh allegations about what he called injustice and persecution in the Southeast. He appealed to Trump and the American government to pay attention to the situation and even support an international investigation. That letter made international headlines and added more fuel to the discussion. So, you can imagine the picture right now. Abuja is on alert. The US Congress is watching. Supporters in the Southeast are restless. And Kanu himself is still inside detention, waiting for the court to decide his fate. Now, my people, let's pause for a second. What do you personally think? Should the government consider a political solution? Or should they allow the court process to continue without interference? Tell me in the comments. I want to know your view. And while you're typing, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. It really helps the channel grow and keeps you informed whenever I drop new updates. All right, let's continue the gist. The big question now is, why are US lawmakers interested in Nnamdi Kanu's case at all? The answer is partly humanitarian, partly political. You see, in international politics, when a case involves questions about human rights, rule of law, or public protest, it often draws attention from foreign governments, especially when the individual involved has international connections. Kanu, in his case, holds British citizenship, and his movement's message has spread beyond Nigeria through the diaspora. So naturally, this case attracts eyes from abroad. But that attention is a double-edged sword. It can bring pressure, but it can also make the government more defensive, because no nation wants to look like it's being controlled from outside. That's why President Tinubu's administration has been trying to walk a fine line, defending the sovereignty of Nigeria while also trying to avoid a diplomatic crisis. Many observers say that how the government handles this case could affect its image globally. A transparent, fair trial will strengthen confidence in Nigeria's justice system. But any appearance of political persecution or heavy-handed action could bring fresh criticism. And of course, the Nigerian public is watching too. For supporters of IPOB and sympathizers in the southeast, they see this case as bigger than Kanu. They see it as a symbol of how the region is treated. For others across the country, especially those who lived through the past violence or felt the impact of the side-at-home protests, they see Kanu as someone whose rhetoric has caused real disruption. It's a complicated story, one that touches emotion, identity, and politics all at once. Now, before I go deeper into the next part, which includes the possible outcomes of the trial, how it might affect the government, and what the US might actually do next, please take a second to like this video if you haven't already. It really helps more people see this gist, and it motivates me to keep bringing you balanced updates like this one. So, the question a lot of people are asking right now is simple. What happens next? Because the situation around Nnamdi Kanu's case has reached a point where it's not just about the court anymore. It's now a mix of law, politics, and diplomacy all in one. Let's start from the legal angle. Kanu's trial has been ongoing since 2021. His legal team has filed multiple applications in court, asking for bail, asking for better treatment, and even requesting that the court stop the trial completely, arguing that his arrest was illegal in the first place. Recently, he said he won't continue defending himself, saying the trial lacks fairness and proper legal basis. That move shocked a lot of people because when a defendant refuses to participate in their own trial, it raises the question, what comes next? Some lawyers believe that this could force the court to rule based only on the prosecution's evidence, and that could be dangerous for him. Others believe the court may decide to adjourn or allow more time for him to reconsider. Either way, the tension in Abuja's court sessions has been high. And while all this is happening, reports say Kanu's health has been a concern. His lawyers have complained that his medical needs are not being properly met in detention. The government insists he's receiving adequate care. So even that issue has become another talking point for the international community. Now, let's switch gears to the political side, because that's where things get really interesting. President Tinubu, as we know, is dealing with a lot of major issues: economy, security, reforms, and now the sensitive case that could influence peace in the southeast. For Tinubu, it's a tricky balancing act. If his government is seen as being too soft on Kanu, critics might say he's encouraging separatist movements. But if he's seen as being too harsh, it could create more anger in the southeast and damage his relationship with that region. That's why every decision right now, even a small one, is being watched carefully by political observers, both inside and outside the country. Some analysts believe that one possible solution might be what they call a political resolution, not a court decision, but an agreement between government leaders, Southeast representatives, and key figures to calm things down and promote peace. This kind of arrangement has happened before in other countries when legal and political issues overlap. But for now, there's no clear sign that such talks are happening openly. Now, let's bring in the international dimension, because this is what makes the story global. When US lawmakers speak about Kanu's case, it shows that they are monitoring Nigeria's internal affairs more closely. While their statements don't have legal power over Nigeria, they do have influence. For example, if Congress were to raise human rights concerns officially, it could affect Nigeria's foreign image, foreign aid, or cooperation on certain programs. At the same time, these lawmakers have to be careful too, because Nigeria is an important partner to the US in West Africa, especially when it comes to trade and fighting terrorism. So even though they speak strongly, most of the time they stop short of taking direct action. It's a kind of diplomatic dance. Pressure with one hand, partnership with the other. Please, if you're still watching, kindly hit the like button right now because this part is the heart of the gist. Now, let's talk about what could happen in the next few months. There are three main paths this story can take. The first one is legal conclusion, meaning the court goes ahead, listens to both sides, and gives a final verdict. If that happens and Kanu is convicted, the government will have to prepare for the reaction. Supporters could protest and the international community would likely issue statements. The second path is political intervention. This could mean President Tinubu, after consultations, decides to use his constitutional power to either pardon Kanu or negotiate a deal that calms the tension in the southeast. Such a move would be seen as a peace gesture, but it could also be controversial. Some might praise it as statesmanship. Others might call it weakness. And the third path is ongoing stalemate, where the case continues slowly in court, tension remains, protests come and go, and no real conclusion is reached. That's the scenario we've been in for a while, and honestly, many Nigerians are tired of it. Meanwhile, let's talk about the public reaction. In the Southeast, many people still see Kanu as a symbol of hope, someone who speaks for their pain and frustration. They follow every court date, every announcement. But across other parts of the country, opinions are divided. Some feel his methods went too far and created insecurity. Others say that the government should have handled it differently. More dialogue, less confrontation. That's why every headline about this story trends quickly. People are emotionally invested and the narrative keeps evolving. Now, another interesting angle is how this could affect Nigeria's unity. You see, cases like these test the strength of our national cohesion. They raise questions about fairness, representation, and how we treat people from different regions. So while the case is about one man, the conversation is really about what kind of country Nigeria wants to be. As for the US lawmakers' warning, it's symbolic, but serious. They are basically saying, Nigeria, we're watching, handle this fairly. They can't dictate what the court should do, but the interest adds more eyes to the matter. It makes every decision by the court, the government, or even protesters more sensitive and more global. Please remember, subscribe now and like this video because the next part of this gist is where I'll break down how all this could affect President Tinubu's government directly, his image, his relations with the Southeast, and even his international reputation.